Wow, what a difference.
I can hear you guys.
We can hear you.
Rock and roll. Thank you for being here, Kevin. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
I know. Steve, Mantia, all my favorite people,
It's
and
the
my
best hobby in the
favorite.
world.
It is.
My favorite
happy
show.
show.
I
show.
bet you say that to all your guests.
To whoever's here, yes.
Actually, I don't.
Oh.
What?
I'm just making sure we all have microphones on because there's one on the table.
That's because there's only 4 of us, not 5. There's a set of headphones on
That's
the
why you
table,
couldn't hear me before. If this isn't plugged in.
It is plugged in. Oh, it's not? Yeah, it is.
It's plugged in.
It's plugged in. Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Oh, yes, Daniel. Hello. Hi, Daniel.
You get feedback, are we?
Standing here for about 2 minutes.
That's okay.
And give me a countdown, Daniel.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. And by GL Robotics, with over 61 colors of 3D printing filaments in stock, your gateway to new technology. Check out their website at glroboticsusa.com.
Additional support for What's Neat This Week is brought to you by Soundtrax, industry leaders in model railroad sound and technology for over 30 years. Now please visit our website at soundtrax.com, and at checkout, be sure to use the promo code WNTW15 for 15% off of your purchases.
Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast.
This is the What's Neat This Week show, the best hobby in the world in model railroading. Show number 145 for February 6th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. And tonight I've got some of my favorite people sitting at the table and more of them sitting here watching us make the show tonight. Guys, let me hear it. Yay. Tonight, sitting next to me, I've got my favorite, Kevin Rubel. Hey, Kevin.
I'm the only Kevin Rubel you know.
That's right.
So I've got to be your least favorite, too.
I love you, brother. Sitting next to me on the other side, I've got Raymond Brown. Hey,
Hi.
Ray.
Nice to be back.
And all the way on the end over here, Steve Mantia.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Steve, it's been a while since we've seen you on the show.
It's been a little while. That's correct.
You've been in the audience a lot, but there's some exciting news that I'm going to let you open up the show right away with. The end of the storm is what you're calling it, after the storm.
After the storm, yes. My wife and I came up with the idea of having a train show here in St. Louis, out in Imperial, Missouri, in May 15th of 2021. And we decided to give it a try and have a show of our own.
Wow, isn't that awesome? It's that getting back to normal, a train show.
Yes.
Where is this going to be held at? Is this going to be inside or outside?
It'll be inside. It's a Elks Lodge that we've reserved the day so that it'll be a good place to set up tables for vendors and hopefully have more people come into the show and see what goes on.
That's awesome. Do you guys have a website or anything?
No, we do not have anything like that right now. They're just basically calling me on the phone.
How about that? So that's going to be held at 1515 Miller Road in Imperial, Missouri on May 15th, 2021. And we're going to give a lot more updates leading up to that show because I want to see Steve have a successful show.
Thank you very much.
And maybe we can come and be there with you, Steve. That would be awesome.
I would greatly enjoy that, to have you there. So
That would be awesome.
That's great.
Now, Kevin, you and I spent some time this week. We were down at Microengineering, and you got to hang out with Ron.
That was fun.
And all the girls and all the boys down there working in Santa's workshop.
Yeah.
Making our favorite track that we all love to use. And you also got to see Pongo.
My buddy Pongo.
Yes, I've got some B-roll I'm running right now of you and Pongo doing a group hug together. That's that beautiful Dalmatian. That's Ron's favorite coworker down there at the place. He always works down there at Microengineering with everybody every day because
Big dog.
He's family.
Actually, Dalmatian and Great Dane mix.
Great Dane.
That's why he's
Dalmatian.
such a huge dog.
That's a big dog.
Yeah,
It is.
like $1.25. He's a big dog.
That was awesome. All the role you saw Kim and all the wonderful folks that work down there at Microengineering. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hanging. I love getting out of the basement and going down there and doing that. Still, I think I had Dan Michio from TCS Train Control Systems. He spent 5 or 6 or 7 days here at the house from Friday to Friday. And that was a lot of fun. In fact, he did some of my RSD-15 locomotives, put sound in them for me. 3 of the old Broadway Limiteds I've had for about 15 years. And that's going to come out as a video that's going to be coming out in March 2021, What's Neat. Because I actually filmed him doing the installation, and I'm amazed at how easy it is to put sound in locomotives these days.
And they sound awesome.
They sound
They
so
sound
good.
amazing.
I had to go out and get sound cards of my own for my locomotives.
That's awesome. Now, Ashley's not here tonight, but Ray and Ashley both got their new jackets from Denny Yelsma last week.
Yeah, and I actually got mine here.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's got them in the Bessemer Lake Erie logo, and they just look absolutely fantastic. I can't believe the quality. I pulled them out of the box when I got home last, and my jaw was just hanging open. They were so nice.
Amazing.
That's awesome. You sent us some
Beautiful.
photographs of you and Ashley out rail fanning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run those pictures right now of you guys. You showed the front of your jackets to us, and you showed the back of your jackets to us.
That's one sweet jacket.
Yes,
That's
it is.
awesome.
I'm telling you what. Where were you guys rail fanning at? It looked beautiful territory.
So we were actually on the Bessemer Lake Erie, and I believe the pictures I sent to you were at Osgood Viaduct, which is a point called KO on the Bessemer.
I've got them right here. That's
Premise
it
Osgood.
was snow on the ground out there.
Yeah, well, it's Pennsylvania. There usually is snow.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. You guys look like you're always having so much fun. I know Austin Allard went out there with you guys and hung out with you for a few days.
Yeah, we went around, kind of did all the Erie rail fan sites, so caught a bunch of CSX and Norfolk Southern, and we even managed to catch the one Bessemer train a day that still runs, so it was a great trip.
God, it's been a busy, wonderful week all week long. When Kevin got here Wednesday, he arrived, and about an hour later, I set up everything for him to do his show. And the show is called OS Virtual Check-In that he does on Facebook for the Model Railroad community every Wednesday. And tell us, what does OS Virtual Check-In mean, Kevin?
Well, for those who might not be familiar with the way that trains used to be dispatched with train timetable and train orders, OS is what an operator at a given station would say to the dispatcher when a train passes, and it means on sheet. So if train 72 passes Linden at 8:04 a.m., the operator would call in and say, dispatch 72 Linden OS, whatever time that was, and then dispatcher marks it on his train sheet.
That's awesome. And you said you've done like 45 of those shows already.
Almost 60.
Almost 60 of those shows.
We started March 26th, I believe.
Okay.
And initially we were doing 2 a week. Now we're doing 1 a week.
That's a great way to support the hobby. And they can find your show on Facebook. Is that right? How do they index it?
On Facebook. If you go to the Caboose page on Facebook,
Okay.
the link is there for Zoom, so you can participate in Zoom or you can watch it on Facebook Live.
That's awesome. Now you're going to accept, I've got another wonderful piece of article of clothing here. And this is Mike Buddy's Missouri Pacific shirt
I'm Mike now.
that Denny Yelsma from Yelsma Graphics made for Mike. And it's snowing outside tonight, so Mike didn't want to venture out into the snow to accept his wonderful shirt. But you are going to accept it
Since
for
I'm
Mike. Tonight,
Ken,
you're Mike.
I love this almost as much as I love auto racks. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
It's a great looking shirt.
Very
It is,
beautiful
doesn't it?
shirt. Man.
Now let's get down to some modeling. I modeled, as I alluded to about a few weeks ago, we shot the new Dash 9 for Bachmann trains of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I had to build a rather large diorama because it's 1/29 scale.
It's huge.
Which was in fact 28 times the volume of HO scale. So I'm ballasting this scene that I built 15 years ago and never completely finished. And I've got to tell you what, it was quite a project. I'm rolling B-roll right now of it going together. I decided to do a desert scene this time because, I mean, it's wintertime and I wanted to try to warm it up in my backyard a bit for this photo. So I created some mesas and I used, again, stack the scenery, layers and layers of desert scenery. And my wonderful friend John Fowler, as I alluded to previously, had made some saguaro cactus in G-scale for us to use in this photo shoot. And so I placed the cactus, both the prickly pear cactus and the saguaro cactus together in the scene to add a little bit of greenery to that otherwise dry-looking dirt, put the -9 in place. I shot multiple pictures over a period of 3 hours on this scene, varying the scenery using different mesas, different hills, and mixing it up a little bit so the wonderful folks at Bachmann would have something to pick from and choose from. So now I will show you, this is how the final cover came out. This is the Bachmann 2021 cover, so that when we finally get train shows and they're going full speed ahead, y'all can pick this up from the Bachmann booth, or you can order them, I believe, online from BachmannTrains.com out in Philadelphia. And this -9, of course, I want to say is a pre-production model. There may be changes made on the final version before it does come out. But rock and roll, I love doing shoots like this out in the sun, and that one came out, I think, really neat. They made it kind of look like a postcard. If you looked at the graphics and everything I just showed you on that photograph, it really did look like one of those really cool type of postcards that you would receive.
Ken, you were telling me these cactuses were 3D printed, weren't they?
These are 3D printed.
They're amazing quality.
John Fowler does amazing work, and that's a great segue into what I want to talk about next, because John wanted me to bring up the fact that he does custom work. So all of those modelers out there that have got an idea in their head or a dream of something they may want, but they don't want to spend days and days modeling it, John Fowler will build it for you. And I'm going to give you the contact information, but he's given us some examples of some of the projects that he's done for other people now in the past. This is a big business now, custom work with 3D printers. I realize the cost of them has come down, but then you've got to learn how to do the graphic programs to design everything, as well you know.
Yep.
And it's in itself is a learning curve. So rather than to go all through all of that, and you want the models right now, John can build stuff for you. And some of the examples that he showed us was Donner Tunnel. He sent me some pictures of Donner Tunnel, and I'm going to show you guys too. This is really good. It's all weathered.
Wow.
He showed us a bunch of 4 different photographs of that. He also did the Lakewood Bridge piers, which were custom done.
Wow, great.
Yes, and the other thing that's really difficult to do is bridge feet. So he sent us some pictures of some bridge feet that he's done.
Wow.
I mean, that's hard in itself, but all bridge feet look just a little bit different. If you sent him drawings or prototype photos, he can work off of them. This tunnel I'm going to show you was a O-scale tunnel that I believe he scaled down to HO scale for someone. And then he could go either way with that. If you've got an HO scale tunnel as an example, he can scale it up. The last tunnel I'm going to show you is this portal. It's called Shasta Tunnel, number 10. And this is got interesting stonework on it in that it's a step up on the front.
Nice abutments, yeah.
And the last one I want to show you is called Chestnut Avenue Abutments. And these are bridge piers. I guess this is a road crossing that he did custom work for someone. So check it out. John Fowler at zyxcreative.com. Check out his website. And John also said you can contact him by phone and talk to him about how to design these projects. You can reach him at 661-771-6319. And I have a feeling that might have just appeared on front of the table right there. Isn't
I
it?
saw it.
And then you know how that happens.
The quality is perfect. You're not going to do any better in 3D printing. It's amazing.
The guy does fantastic work. I wish Mike was here tonight because Mike tried his decals on top of the trailers. So we'll cover that on the next time it's not snowing and Mike can show up, that he also does custom decals. This guy's a jack of all trades. He's been on one of our shows before and he's absolutely a fantastic interview. I mean, he's a gentleman that made his layout run remote control like 25 years ago before, I mean, this guy's amazing. He's just, John Fowler, thank you so much for the saguaro cactus, and thank you for the help that you gave me in shooting that Bachmann catalog cover. Very much appreciated how all of us model railroaders do work together like we do. I know. How do I follow that up? What do I do after that?
It's a tough act to follow.
I know, Kevin.
You edit.
Tell me about your visit here to St. Louis. Have you enjoyed so far? Since Wednesday you've been here, so.
It's been fun. It's been decompressing, which is great. Just a chill few days. The visit to microengineering was fun, of course, and
That was rock and roll cool. I just
That was
love
cool.
watching those. While you were talking, and I think we went out to lunch and stuff. But before we did that, I actually got to work down there. So
Yeah.
I did labels,
Right.
and I also packaged N scale track gauges. And I promptly got fired.
Right.
Got hired and fired. Wow.
Yeah, Carrie fired me because one of the track gauge packages wasn't quite sealed. So if you're the lucky one out there that gets a track gauge package that's not quite sealed,
With nothing in it.
that was me. Rock and roll.
Not quite being like not at all sealed.
I know, right? So Ray, you brought some really cool models tonight, and you've got a story you want to talk about Marx, because on the last time on the show, you told us how everybody in your family had worked down there
Yeah.
at that wonderful Marx
Yeah.
factory.
Yeah. So Marx Toys was at one point the largest toy manufacturer in the world, and it was for decades. And they had factories all over, but they had one in Girard, Pennsylvania. And the factory in Girard, Pennsylvania primarily made toy trains. They made other things, but mostly trains. And specifically, my great uncle worked there in research and development, and he worked there for, I believe, 45 years. But some of the models that he would come up with, he would tell me stories about just taking cardboard and tape and trying to mock stuff together and make things work. But this overhead block signal on HO scale was one of his projects that he sort of mocked that up and made the prototype. And he also made the single block signal right here. And this is, it's old Marx Toys. It's some plastic parts, but it's mostly stamped metal. It's not really fine detail that we'd think in trains today. This was more toys, and Marx made their stuff to last. When I was building my layout in South Carolina, the last layout I had, I wanted to use these on my layout kind of as a head nod to my family. And I didn't have enough of them. So I ended up taking this to work, and at that point in time I was doing 3D printing research and development, and I perfectly copied it. And this is a 3D print copy of that same Marx signal. And I was able to use that to fill in my layout.
Wow.
That's so cool.
And I lit it with LEDs, so I kind of put a modern twist on the old Marx design, but when you would put them next to each other in the scenery, you couldn't tell the difference. And I thought that was a fun thing that, generationally, we had 3, almost 4 generations of my family work at Marx Toys. My mom packed AFX race sets there. My grandma stamped 3-rail track for, years and years. My great aunt worked there. She made transformers. And these were all the stories that we would talk about around, Christmas tree. We'd get the old train sets out and start talking about making trains or Rock'em Sock'em robots or all the great Marx toys.
Cool.
That is awesome. And somewhere in there, we were going to show a photograph of.
Yeah, so it's I have a picture of my great uncle, and he is in the experimental room at Marx Toys Girard, and he is shaking hands with a robot that was called Big Lou. And Big Lou was he was your friend from the moon. It was a 1960s toy. I have one in a case in my house. It shoots ping pong balls out its arm. You crank a handle on the back, and it talks. The eyes light up. It's I imagine in the 60s this was a pretty cool toy.
Yeah.
But it's really been a fun experience to have all that in the family and kind of, for me, come back full circle on it. And I'm more into the fine scale hobby side of things, but I look back and I see all the toys that my mom worked on, my grandma worked on, my great aunt and uncle worked on, and I try to incorporate a little bit of that into my layout because how can you not? It's just such a family legacy.
Is this the best hobby in the world or
It is.
what?
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Some of the first trains I was able to really put out more in my house that my wife really liked was some of the Marx, because it being metal and just the heavy and the way the colors are and everything. She fell in love with those. Now she's moved on to G scale and the rest of it. But some of the Marx stuff is some of the original things I've picked up, and some of the collections I do buy that have the Marx things in that. And it's just always impressive how they've stood the test of time in that. They have
can't
been
hurt
through a
them.
lot.
You can't hurt them. They were made to last.
Yes.
I can see the Marx logo in my head.
And
Oh, yeah.
Learn to look underneath it and find the symbol. Oh, there's where it is. Whether it's telephone poles or anything that they made, it's always
You'd always
sturdy.
find it. Yeah.
That's awesome. When Dan Mischio and I were in town together, we spent all that time together. I took him to a few hobby shops in town, which gave me the chance to get out, which I don't do. Now, I've been going to Mark Twain Hobbies for, 10 or 15 years. I mean, I always knew it was there, and it's just where I go. We've got another hobby shop in St. Louis called Schaefer's Hobby, which is kind of closer, and I go there if I need rail joiners or something quick. But there's a shop in Illinois. And we don't go into Illinois that much because it's like people on this side of the river stay on this side of the river, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
But there's a shop in Illinois called Redboard Hobbies. And I remember going to this hobby shop maybe 18 years, when I had the Midwest Valley Modelers layout. So this might have been 25 years ago. And they were in Belleville. And I only went there one time, and I never went back. And so Dan Mischio and I went over to Redboard Hobbies just last week. And for the very first time, it was like going all over again. They're in a brand new location, at least, well, it's brand new to me. I think they've probably been there now, he said, for 15 years.
Wow.
But it's a wonderful store in that it's only a train store. I've shot some video of this while I was there because I told the wonderful owner, Paul Freeze, that I wanted to talk about his hobby shop. Because when we went there, it was a delight. It's about 12 or 1,400 square feet of nothing but model trains. And Mike Buddy can't wait to go. In fact, I'm going to talk about some of the models on the table that I purchased there. Don't worry about zooming in yet, because I'm still running B-roll at the shop. I want to show you the inside of the shop. I do remember videotaping the N-scale layout. If you haven't already seen that, it was in fall colors. Just a beautiful layout that they've got on display. Also, he covers pretty much all of the scales, but HO scale and N scales was his two biggest scales that I remember seeing. They've got all the building supplies you could ever want and scenery supplies. They've got a large collection of vehicles on the wall, which is why Mike wants to go. In fact, I picked up a Cat dump truck. And I think I've got the box on the table here. It came in a really nice tin box. As soon as I walked in, I had to have it. I was like, wow, I need to get that truck. And then I also picked up, believe it or not, these are hard to find, the Tangent 86-foot boxcar. Some of the most
Popular cars.
detailed, beautiful freight cars that have ever been produced by David
Awesome.
Lyabach. I got the Penn Central, which has got Mike Buddy totally jealous. And I also picked up a Rapido Horizon car. So to make a long story short, he's got all the stuff that we want. He really focuses on what the modelers desire, and he's got that in stock, and I was very impressed with Redboard Hobbies. I hope I showed enough B-roll to give you guys just a bit of flavor of how neat this store looked. It was the best kept secret in St. Louis, in my opinion, and I'm going to go back. I've been there twice since Dan Mischio and I were there. I went there and picked up the Horizon car this week, so I've been there twice. And if you guys are flying into St. Louis on business, check it out. It's in Belleville, Illinois. You guys can Google it. They're not big on the internet. They don't do internet sales really at all.
Wow.
He just works on the walk-in customer business, which, you know, that's the old-fashioned hobby shop, in my opinion. So hats off to Paul Freeze for having a great store out in Belleville. Thank you very much for your hospitality while I was there.
Time for a field trip.
I know.
That's
This
it.
is what
Time
the
for a
show's
field
about,
trip.
to tell you about really great stuff.
Road
But yet
trip.
that place has been there forever, but I was clueless. This is another good example of blonde.
Oh, it's all the way on the other side of the river, which is just like right there.
It's
but-
only, the GPS told me it was 28 miles from my driveway, so it's not that bad,
Right.
really.
I'll pass it on my way home. I'm going to check it out.
I know. Rock and roll. I don't even know how to follow that up. I do want to mention that you buy trains and you pay cash, and you bought a wonderful Markland collection. Did I say Markland?
You said
no,
Markland?
it was
No.
MTH.
MTH collection.
And on one of the
A large
shows in
amount
the
of G-scale.
future, you're going to bring some of the beautiful models and show them off, because they make an array of stuff.
Yes, they
and
do.
some of the collectible three-rail stuff is very collectible. The bridges. I couldn't believe how big the boxes were that the bridges come in.
I know when we were loading it up, we had to make sure we had enough vehicles
Wow.
to be able to fit the boxes in, because they're a 5-foot long box and 2 foot wide, and plus then you've got your the freight cars and the locomotives that we've picked up and that, and it was a very nice collection to get. So and we tried to do it so my dad and I have something to do, and collect it and try to do what we need to do with things.
Now, do you have a geographic location that you try to stick to when you purchase collections like this?
Somewhere close around here. I don't have the means to drive for 3 or 4 hours, I guess. I would want to say somewhere in the general vicinity, but whatever I would need to do, I would go to see whatever the collection I needed to buy in it.
And you're an electrician by trade, and I met you on the road one day when I was running up to the gas station to grab a Red Bull,
That's correct.
and I chased you down Susan Road. In fact, I tailgated you, didn't I?
Yes, you said followed me, then said, here.
Why don't you
follow-
tell the story of how you met me and how weird that was?
I was just driving to work one day, and all of a sudden I have someone following me behind me in the truck. And I thought, well, maybe with my big red truck that I had cut him off or done some that standpoint. So I finally make it to my destination. I pull over, and the gentleman pulls up right next to me and says, follow me if you want. I can change your world about trains.
True that. And why did I follow your truck? Because you've got trains all over your electrician truck.
On the back of my
Cool.
truck, it says, we buy trains.
It does.
So I decided to follow this
Cool.
gentleman to a house. And of course, I was on the phone at the time with my wife, and I'm telling her I'm following some stranger for trains. She goes, well, what do you mean you're doing? I said, well, I've done it all the time. So, with electric work for estimates. So
Right.
I followed Ken, and the rest, as they say, is history now. So
You know,
it's been very enjoyable.
in our hobby, I'm following someone for trains just doesn't sound that weird.
No, no.
It doesn't really
Sadly, it
which
doesn't.
It doesn't. It just sort of fits right in. So.
And Steve, if people wanted to have you look at their collections, maybe some they're getting out of the hobby and they want to just, unload everything or sell everything, or and it's an estate or something like that, how would they get a hold of you to do that?
The best way would be to give me a call on the phone, 314-369-3949.
And that's the same phone number to call about the train show, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Call
Okay,
me
so
about the train show.
314-369-3949. Target Electric, Steve Mantilla, I Buy Collections, and that is also the train show coming up on May 15th.
A little bit of everything we have going on.
You're awesome. Thank you for what you do for the hobby. And
thank
thank
you.
you for what you've done for us. I want to throw out there that Steve was in fact the one that convinced me to pick up these lapel microphones, the first 4, and in fact he bought them for us for the show. Thank you.
I wanted your show to grow.
Thank you.
They're very
Awesome.
nice.
Thanks.
You're awesome. And there's no way to follow that up. We're at 24 minutes, guys. Before I tell you the lineup coming out for What's Neat, is there anything, I think you wanted to talk about something, Kevin, that you picked up at Microengineering, don't you?
Yeah, well, just in general. The track they make, I've used and sold all the track that's available, in particularly in HO. And these guys just make the best track out there. That's of course my opinion, but it's my personal opinion. It's also my professional opinion. This is the most prototypical track that you'll get in HO scale, and it's made not only in the United States. It's made right here in Fenton, Missouri.
Sure is.
These are components to Microengineering's ladder track system, which is a really cool, almost modular system where you might have to have tight tolerances between your sets of points from the next switch in a pinwheel, for example, and your frog. This is they have 5 different number 5 turnouts in both code 83 and code 70 that work together as a whole system particularly to make yard ladders. But just wanted to give Ron and the great folks out at Microengineering a plug because they do make, again, what I think is the best track in that you can get in the industry.
That
And,
number 5 ladder system is
good
amazing.
stuff. It's an awesome system. Stephen Priest did a good job a few years back in RMC writing it up, writing the ladder system up, and so you can check that article out too.
That's awesome. Progress is progressing on the N-scale layout, and in fact, I'm using Microengineering Code 55 track and 13 of their switches on that layout. And in the last 7 days, I've gotten nothing done on that. But I will get a lot of work done on it this week, since we're going to be sub-zero temperatures through next Saturday, which is going to be crazy. The What's Neat show at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine is going to be out around February the 8th. The magazine itself is going to start a new schedule where Joe Fugate is going to start publishing on the middle of the month, so around the 15th of every month. And the reason that they're doing that is they want to make sure that they get all of the new products that are available in the hobby into the current issue. Because it seems like a lot of manufacturers announce their new products right towards the end of the month, at least they have been since COVID's hit. And Joe wants to make sure there's enough time to allocate in order to get all the new products in so that the information is current and relevant. And so on the 15th, expect to see Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine online. And that, by the way, is a free magazine. For those of you that have never heard of Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, it's generally between 200 and 300 pages. Joe's got a lot of great editors with a lot of great material. And he's also got another magazine called Running Extra, which is a subscription-based online magazine that you can pay for, which is just what it is. It's extra. But Joe and all the folks out there work so hard making this hobby great for all of us, and they have been taking care of us with the What's Neat show that I've been producing since 2012 for them. We have officially done 100 of those shows now. The February show coming out is the 100th show. And in that February show, as I've mentioned before, we've got James Regier sharing how to do that rotary beacon, working with the AT Tiny 13 chips. Is that what they're called?
Tiny
It was
13?
cool, whatever it was.
I know, right? James is amazing at electronics. And we also share Austin Allard, who's sitting here watching us do the show, and his wonderful father, Steve. This is a father-son team that have built a great layout together since COVID has hit in the last 12 months. Double-deck layout. The upper deck is for Austin because he runs really long trains. The lower deck is for his father because he doesn't have that many long trains to run. And so it's wonderful. The story is great. The father-son team, I absolutely love that. Also coming out, the March video, I've just finished it. Dan Michio from TCS shares with us and shows how he put the decoders into those RSD-15 locomotives. Brand new speaker, brand new decoder, soundboard, motherboard, the whole bit. He really made it look easy. So much of that is plug and play these days. We've also got some amazing drone footage from Dan Scheidel, and this time it's wintertime footage. And it looks literally like the trees were painted. It's great to see this because it exemplifies and shares with you exactly how to model winter on your layout. All the answers are there in the drone footage that Dan shoots for us. Also, we visited John Schindler's layout. Now, we've shared John Schindler's layout in the January 2020 What's Neat. And he showed us this beautiful, great big operational layout where it takes 14 or 18 people to operate it. They run it with control panels and computer screens, and it's just card system. It's a great big board game on steroids for the guys that like to operate. But since COVID has hit, the one thing about the layout was he had just some lights right up the center of the room, lighting up the layout, just a few fluorescent lamps. Since then, he's put valances all the way around the layout and lit up the entire layout with LEDs. So all of the colors come out on that layout now, which was something that was always missing. Plus now the guys can read their car cards much better. So rock and roll, John Schindler. We share that. And the last thing in the March video is Mike Buddy, who isn't here tonight, but we still love you. Mike shares with us how he wrecks his automobiles and creates the damage in aluminum foil. So many people like to melt their cars with, soldering irons and different ways to create damage, but it seems like Mike's modeling technique with foil really brings it home and makes it look realistic.
Absolutely.
And the last thing I want to say is there is a What's Neat index for all 100 What's Neat shows at Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. It is, you can Google it by simply Googling What's Neat index, and it'll pop up as like the first or second hit if you do that. And in that index, you can find all the subject matter in all 100 What's Neat shows. That's the show where we get our hands dirty and build stuff. So all the layout interviews, all of the projects, everything is there in this wonderful index. A lot of people don't know that, and I wanted to get the word out on that. And that is everything on my list. I do want to thank very much Lombard Hobbies, just out of Chicago in Lombard, Illinois, for sponsoring the What's Neat show. Thank you so much for helping us promote the best hobby in the world, the hobby of model railroading. And so with that, guys, do you think that we're going to end this one? Number 145.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good.
Rock and roll. Time to go get some wings, everybody. So with that, thank you very much, Kevin Rubel, Steve Mantia, Ray, Daniel Coombs running camera for us. And with that, it's the best hobby in the world with the best people in it, guys. Let's go run some trains.
All right.
Thank you.
Run those alligators.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.